So today I want to talk about the dangers of socialization. A lot of us with reactive dogs, overexcited dogs, those social butterflies that pull towards people and other dogs. You have dogs that are fearful and also those that just struggle being in new and overwhelming environments. A lot of generic advice that a lot of people get is to socialize these dogs more. And the thing is, this isn't wrong, but the common way to socialize dogs, I think, has changed over time. And the more old school approach of just exposing them to more things can, in fact, cause more harm than more good. So let's get into it. Let's start by defining what socialization actually is. So Google defines socializing as the activity of mixing with others. And when we think of socializing as well, we think of going for food, going for drinks, going for a coffee, going for brunch, like interacting with our friends in some way, shape, or form. This is why when we're told to socialize our dogs, the first thing that goes to our mind is to expose them to more things. With reactive dogs, we try exposing them to more dogs. With dogs that generally aren't big fans of people or get overwhelmed in different environments, we take them to new and different environments because we think that they'll get used to it. And the thing is, for some this does work, but for the more dysregulated, the more reactive, the more fearful and nervous dogs, this just causes more overwhelm, more stress, more chaos. And in the long term, it can really backfire on your progress. This is why I hate the term socialization, because for a lot of dogs, the old school method of socializing just does not work. Instead, I prefer the term neutrality. And if you look on Google, the definition of neutrality is the absence of decided views, expression, and strong feelings. And that's exactly what we want. When talking about neutrality, it's not about creating an antisocial dog. Neutrality is creating a stable dog. Neutrality is creating a regulated dog. Dogs that are neutral are a lot easier to walk. They're not pulling you to say hi to anyone. Dogs who are neutral are a lot easier to train. You'll have a lot more success training any behavior problems in different areas with a neutral dog instead of one that is distracted by other people, other things, other smells, or whatever. And even better, a neutral dog is more engaged with you than they are with their triggers. So, story time. When I first got my dog Jasper, he was very dog reactive and he was overly excited by literally every single person. Now, I receive the same advice a lot of people get, which is you just need to socialize him more. And me thinking that the best thing to do then was to let him interact with more people. It was to take him to newer environments. It was to try socializing him with more dogs. But this didn't work at all. In fact, it made things 10 times worse, to the point where our walks started becoming just chaos because he'd be on edge expecting to see a dog, or he'd be overly excited when he saw someone, meaning he didn't lock into his walk. He was more obsessed with the environment and the triggers than the actual walk. He was coming back home a lot more stressed, a lot more overwhelmed, and walks just weren't doing anything for him. It wasn't until we started focusing on existence over interaction, on creating that neutrality, that things started to change, that we started to have more calmer walks, more focus. He just started to enjoy being out in the open. So how do you build neutrality? How can you teach your dog to exist instead of interact? And there are 3 stages to this. The first one being you need to cut down the stress and you need to stop your dog rehearsing these patterns. And by that, what I mean is you need to stop walking your dog. And it's something that I teach in my detox protocol. The first thing that you really need to do to reduce that stress, to reduce the rehearsal of those behaviors, is to bring your dog out of those situations. Because a lot of us try fixing these behaviors on the walks. We try fixing the reactions, mid-reactions, and our dog is still rehearsing the same behaviors over time. they're not getting any better. We need to strip back the stress. We need to remove them from said environment. And in the meantime, we focus on outlets. We focus on decompression. We focus on mental stimulation. We focus on them getting proper sleep. When we do that, we build regulation up, which allows us to then go back into the real world. Step 2, controlled reintroductions. This is where we start reintroducing our dog to environments and triggers, but at a safe distance. This doesn't mean that we're going straight to the dog park or we're going straight to a beer garden where there are triggers and it's overwhelming for them. Here, distance is going to be our best friend. We want to create enough distance that our dog can notice the trigger, but they're not overwhelmed by it. Here we'll use tools like engagement games, play, scatter feeding, you can decompression activities, even just relaxing with your dog and watching triggers in a safe enough distance is enough to help them realize that they don't have to react, that they don't have to interact, that they can just become neutral in these zones. The final stage is adding challenges. Now that your dog has this baseline of neutrality, now that they're regulated, our goal now is to start pushing them out that comfort zone slightly. It's to start adding challenges. It's to start closing the gap on the distance, not to a point where they're still reacting, but to a point where you start testing them a bit. Are they able to come back and engage with you? If they're not, that's absolutely fine. It just means that distance is too close and we just have to spread it back out again. But by doing this, we start teaching them how to bounce back. We start building confidence, resilience, and neutrality. These 3 stages can take a bit of time, especially the final stage, because you're not trying to rush it. You're going at your dog's pace, at a pace that they're comfortable with. But once you have built a good level of neutrality, once they are more regulated and resilient, that's when you can start adding structured socialization. And by this, I mean you can start going on parallel walks. So you can start adding pack walks if your dog is at that point yet. Or if not, you can just go and meet a friend and their dog. And as long as that dog is calm and not chaotic and reactive, you can have a controlled greetings and you can build yourself up from there. Neutrality isn't about isolating our dogs off. It's not about creating an antisocial dog. Neutrality is literally about teaching our dog how to exist in a world instead of interacting with it all the time, instead of reacting to every small thing. It's about building that confidence in themselves so they can just be a dog. So if you are struggling with a reactive dog or an overexcited dog, nervous, over the top, whatever, one of the best things to do is to build up that neutrality, to gradually expose your dogs to these things so that socialization can be fun. So it's not a chore, so it's not chaos, so you're not falling back on your progress all the time. Because at the end of the day, a neutral dog isn't just an easier dog outside, but they're an easier dog in the home as well. Because walks aren't chaotic, walks aren't stress-filled when you have a neutral dog. They're more smoother, they're more calmer, and when your dog comes back home, they're a lot more calm because they enjoy that walk. That walk doesn't cause stress, it doesn't cause chaos for them. And that's the goal at the end of the day. It's building a dog that can handle life alongside you. A dog that you can take on these adventures, a dog that you can trust in these new environments because you have that foundation of neutrality.